And that's, I think, the way forward. But rather than us pontificate about this, let us go to the wonderful Paddy Cullivan, who has a new show called I Can't Believe It's Not Ireland, which is all about the imminent prospect of United Ireland and his take on the politics, the economics, the sociology, and the morality of a country that could be transformed over the next 10 years. So let's go and talk to Paddy. Now, one of the standout podcasts of the last, I'd say 2 odd years, was an appearance of an old friend, one of the great raconteurs, one of the great brains of Ireland, the man who told me that Donald Trump would win and he was MAGA all the way. It is Paddy Cullivan. He has a new show. He's a new show.
Mystic Paddy.
I can't believe Mystic Paddy. I can't believe it's not Ireland. He's on tour. When are you going to? You're going to the States when? Next week? Is it the week after?
I'm going to the States 28th of Feb, and then I'm doing a whole bunch of dates from San Francisco over to New York, leading up to St. Patrick's Day. I'm the only guy who probably will get into the White House on St. Patrick's Day.
So listen, speaking of MAGA, Trump, all that, what about an Irish Doge? What about an Irish? We'll start there, Paddy, because I want to get the full sense of what the show is going to be. By the way, if you haven't seen Paddy's shows and you're in the States, we're going to give you the listing, but go, because they are an absolute hoot. Well, where do we start, Porrick?
Look, as you know, my shows are a mix of comedy, hundreds of images, a kind of historical enlightenment, all of this, and a bunch of songs. So obviously this show, I Can't Believe It's Not Ireland, is about a future United Ireland in 2032. And everyone's panicking, oh, what do you mean it's going to be that soon and all of this? But of course, lads, you've been quoting Lennon for all your podcasts, Dave, as far as I'm concerned. We're, decades happen in weeks, right? Well, since 2015, I feel like the last decade has been like centuries have happened, okay? You have Scottish independence turned down in 2015. A year later, Brexit comes along, and then we have Trump and everything else coming along. And of course, that conversation started, everyone in the North starts going, well, 60% of us voted to remain in the EU. So what are we going to do now? And so I started to look at it and see, what is the future United Ireland going to be like? But the problem is, no one's talking about it. There's one great group called Ireland's Future I'm a member of and stuff like that, but we are not prepared. And as you've seen with something like Brexit, these things can sneak right up on you. People think this is 10 years away, 20 years away. But the problem is, as you just said, the IMF might be coming into Britain. Keir Starmer might turn around and go, why don't we offload this thing called Northern Ireland? It's a pain. Or if Reform get in, they'll go, why don't we offload this thing? And it could be tomorrow. They could call a border poll tomorrow as quick as you can say Hillary Benn. And the problem with that is, lads, is that we are not prepared. In the Good Friday Agreement, there is this thing that says, if it looks like a bunch of people look like they might want a United Ireland, we'll have a poll. Now, that poll could just be in the North and then follow up in the South or concurrently or whatever. The problem is, it's not quite clear that it's just economic stuff or majorities or anything like that. They could just call it tomorrow and we're not ready. And so I've done a show to prepare us for that, because if they call that poll tomorrow, that, lads, is when the excrement hits the rotary air circulation device and we are not ready for it.
So let's talk about what it looks like. Okay. I can't believe it's not Ireland.
Okay, so look, I open it with, obviously it's 2032. So all my shows have been about the past, right? This one, the first half goes into Irish history from ancient times leading up to now. And then using actually some serious research by Professor Brendan O'Leary, his book made sense of United Ireland, The Arons Project. I seriously analysed how we convince people to vote for United Ireland. And then the second half is the vision of the future using AI imagery, everything like this. I show you a brilliant new country. But what I really do in the first half, which is very important, I kind of reinterpret Irish history and the importance of the Protestant contribution to Ireland, And as you know, married to one of the...
That'll go down very well in our house.
As you, from a mixed marriage to one of the great, pragmatic, brilliant Protestants of East Belfast, she has her own bulldog she keeps on a chain. But the marvellous thing is that what I do is I show people that the Protestant contribution has actually been really important, not just to here, but to Irish America. And the 4 times in Irish history where the Prods got it right instead of the Indigenous Catholics. First time, the 1798 Wolfe Tone of the lads, Wolfe Tone saying the only way we can do this is to substitute the common name of Irishman for Protestant, Catholic and Dissenter. The second time, 1834, when the Protestant and Presbyterian churches came together because they knew that Rome rule would come from home rule. 1912, when they had fought home rule all the time, and in 1912 they say, we want home rule for Ulster, for ourselves. That's it, because we are the most successful place in the world, not just in the British Isles, but the world. We are the Silicon Valley. The rest of the place is a basket case. And of course, in 2030, when a majority of Protestants vote for a United Ireland on pragmatic economic ways as I talk about the future, even though it hasn't happened yet.
But let's talk about some of the visions, Patrick. Some of the visions, Paddy.
So, everybody hates AI, the way they hate Elon Musk, Egypt's living down the country saying, that Elon Musk is an idiot. And I'm going, yeah, well, what are you doing, my friend? Where's your hotel? So anyway, so AI has been fantastic. What I've done is I've kind of talked about, you see, countries are invented, as we know. Ireland was invented basically in 1922. And in 1924, we had a flag. Someone lashed out an old anthem. This is what we are. And we're a country now. And then the Northern Ireland is the same. We're kind of trying to bring these two places together, not to just lamp the North onto the South, but invent a brand new country. That's why I've called it, I can't believe it's not Ireland. Just like I can't believe it's not butter. And it's not butter. It's going to be better. Because what we're going to do is we're going to create a place that works. I mean, the most important thing is that Ireland is not working. We do need a Doge in this country. I mean, 900 quid to change a light bulb, 350,000 quid for a bike shed. Do you know what I mean? I've been out of power for 12 days in Galway because all the overhead wires were knocked down by Leylandii trees the fellas grew in their gardens. I mean, the place has gone mad. And I'm not doing down Ireland. I'm just saying we can do better. And so when you bring the whole country together and you bring those million pragmatic Protestants in, by the way, who are used to things like the NHS and all the rest of it, we create a wonderful country. But we have to get over the disagreements. The weird thing is when Brendan O'Leary is analysing what happened he interviewed Northern Catholics and he said, something? We don't really care about the tricolour. We don't really care about the anthem. And in fact, rejoining the Commonwealth will be fine with us because we're already part of it. And so I go into this and I show that the tricolour, it's really a divisive flag that divides us up instead of what Wolfe Tone says, that we should be the common name of Irishmen. So I invent a brand new flag based on an ancient Irish symbol. I write a brand new anthem called O Hibernia. All our anthems are they're always about fighting and killing and somebody winning and somebody losing. So O Hibernia is great. And it's named after the old Irish name, given by the Romans, Hibernia, which meant land of winter. Lads, it was pissing down then, just like it's pissing down now. In fact, you could bring Greta Thunberg to Ireland tomorrow and she'd give up the whole climate change racket because you'd see how the weather's been the same here forever. Okay? Now, the wonderful thing about this is that we can also do things like, where do we have our new capital? Okay. So I've used AI to construct a brand new capital and a brand new parliament building, but not in Belfast or in Dublin, but they'll never agree on it. Do you think a Cork person would ever agree to go to Belfast? No, we must, to quote Gilbert O'Sullivan, put our new capital in the middle of the country, Athlone again, not Tralee. And and the absolute beauty, but the beauty of this is we build, and I've robbed an awful lot of ideas by this guy called David McWilliams. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he says, we need like 50,000 houses a year for the next 20 years. Just put them all in Athlone, make one brand new city, and from that radiate a brand new high-speed rail called the Schnockta Piercer that goes around the country all day long. It gets to speeds of 600 kilometers an hour, which we have seen happen in Spain and in China. That means you can get from Athlone to Dublin in 15 minutes, Dublin to Belfast in 20 minutes. Literally, you could live in Galway, be in work in Belfast the next day. Belfast itself becomes a wonderful Silicon Valley once again as a city. And we again, moving the dots, as you have said, David, up to Drogheda, we now build a massive new city out in the middle of Dublin Bay, rising like a phoenix from the ashes. This is going to be an incredible country, but we have to have the vision. And that's what I put this together using AI to kind of show us how we're doing. Now, how we pay for it, that's the other thing, because there's a lot of old naysayers, as you know. One economist came out recently, Gareth Fitzgerald's son, and he said it's going to cost us 20 billion a year to pay for this for 20 years. And fellas like you in South County Dublin clutched your wallets a bit tighter and slept a bit safer, knowing that they'd scared everybody into not wanting United Ireland because of how much it would cost. But of course, I figured that the figures are all wrong. You can easily pay for it. Literally, it would cost about 4 billion a year. We already have a tax in Ireland called the Universal Social Charge. All we need to do is change that to the Ulster Social Charge. It's worth 4 billion quid a year, and we've got paid for the North. And it's done. And as you said yourself, David, if it costs 20 billion a year and our budget down here is 100 billion for 5 million people, we're getting 2 for the price of 1. It's a bargain.
It is a bargain. I've always thought it's a bargain.
Yes, yeah.
Paddy, I'm curious about this flag that you said. What does it look like? If it's not the tricolour, what is it?
Well, it goes back to the most ancient symbol of Ireland. It's the harp. And
Right.
Believe it or not, the crest of Ireland is actually a yellow harp on a blue background. And it's weirdly, it's a symbol that both loyalists and Republicans can be behind, because it's on already the royal standard. It represents Ireland on the royal standard, the yellow harp and the blue background, but it's also the flag of the President of Ireland, Michael D. So it's a symbol that brings in both traditions. And everything I'm trying to do here is bring people together. And that's why I think we need new harp, new anthem. You'll hear all of this at my shows. It's great crack. And if you don't agree with me, the very least you can say is I've thought about it. And if everybody just does what I've said, we're going to be fine.
So what I'm hearing from this, Paddy, is there's a group of young, enthusiastic thinkers, entrepreneurs who are into this idea of rebooting the country, right? This notion of accelerating the country. And I'm hearing this sort of philosophy from you.
Absolutely. And look, I'm taking it all from Wolfe Tone. Again, to me, he's the founding father of the country. His ideas were brilliant. And of course, we're already, the one thing I talk about it is in Irish business, what are the traits of Irishness? We're always, we had this kind of mystical moments that we say to ourselves, what does it mean to be Irish? And I don't mean to sound like Michael D, but that's what he does. But, is it liking potatoes? Yeah, fair enough. But that's an infernal root vegetable from America, as the French call it. Is it liking tea? Well, tea is from India. You know what the great Irish trait is in business and in life? Getting one over on the other fella. It's Schlievenism. And then, and so in fact, as I show historically, the Boundary Commission, which was meant to kind of, have portions of Protestants go north and portions of Catholics go south, the terribly sectarian thing, W.T. Cosgrave got rid of that whole thing in return for the cancellation of the imperial war debt, which was worth about £150 million at the time. In other words, the North was sealed and the Catholics of the North were sold into the North for 5 annual budgets. Now, it was a scandal when it came out in 1969, and it was awful, and I feel terrible and all. But great move, though. That saved a huge amount of money. And so we need to have that kind of thinking. It's the same thinking that has the multinational corporation tax, 12.5%. We need to keep playing that clever game. And one of the clever economic games is to rejoin the Commonwealth. And people in the South are totally against that. They're totally, how dare you? How dare you want to be part of 55 countries that are ruled by King Charles III? Well, we're in the EU, which is 26 countries with 12 monarchies in them. We don't get upset about the King of Norway or the King of Sweden or the King of whatever. There are 33 republics in the Commonwealth, one of which is Barbados, the latest of which was liberated by Rihanna. So what we need to do is to do what the protocol promised in the North.
Who, by the way, is a red leg. And the red legs are the descendants of Irish indentured slaves or servants who were sent over by your mate Cromwell.
Yeah.
And the reason they're called red legs is they used to wear sheets over their heads if they could to get away from the sun. But because they couldn't cover their legs got sunburned. And Rihanna tells about being slagged in school because she's just that slightly off black. She's got a combination of black and white, the red leg, and she liberated Barbados.
She liberated Barbados. But my point is that you create this world where Ireland is both a member of the EU, a united Ireland, and a member of the Commonwealth, and become this kind of halfway house, this conduit. And again, all those benefits that the North was going to get from the protocol, but the Unionists couldn't see it, accrue to us now. And that also generates huge amounts of wealth. But also, there are other things we need to do in the country. Get rid of NIMBYism, make planning far easier, be able to build effectively, get Garth Brooks to come and play 365 concerts in a row in Ireland, generating masses of wealth. And anyone who complains about it, just the old Irish way, throw $5,000 into their letterbox and say, go off to Spain for a while and you'll be grand. So this stuff is very important. And I know I'm being facetious here, guys, but there's a really serious intent behind all of it because no one is thinking about this future and it's credible. And again, it gets kind of weird at the end. Like it goes from very serious economic stuff and serious of like the end, having a proper NHS and all of this to, which Tato do we pick? Because again, like Ireland is divided. We have 2 different potato chips called the Tato. There's Tato in the north and Free Stato in the south. Now, Free Stato is superior, obviously. But again, all of these come from a serious place of let's think about the future. Let's invent a country. How much fun is it to actually start again and actually make something incredible and positive and optimistic? And I want to use the power of the Irish diaspora as well. And in this, I kind of look at the Good Friday Agreement as well. Like when the peace was breaking out, it wasn't Labour or those lads who helped us out. It was John Major and the Conservatives who started this move, which is quite interesting. And so when we look to America now, which could be ruled for the next 12 to 20 years, the Democrats in such disarray, I predict a President Barron Trump in 2036. We need to start making friends there as well and realizing that there are diaspora there that we haven't even picked. And funny enough, as I bring the show to America, I will be bringing it to Irish America. And all these ideas that people have about Irish America are quite strange in that 53% of Irish Americans are actually from a Protestant or Presbyterian or Ulster Scots background. It's only 47% are Catholic. And so I want to do the same thing I've done here with my shows, which is try and bring those audiences together, unite them in a common purpose. And I want to do the same in America, because even in the cabinet now, you have RFK Jr., Irish Catholic, stock, all the place. J.D. Vance, which I've traced back to a Reverend Vance in Kilmacrennan in Donegal in the 1600s, who converted to Catholicism. So we now have 2 Catholic Irishmen in the White House cabinet. So lads, stop complaining and start making friends.
Brilliant, Paddy. Tell us, just before you go, where do we get the tickets and what are the dates?
Yeah. You can come to my American tour and my tour all over the place. Go to paddycullivan.com for tickets. I'm starting in San Francisco March 1st. I'm doing a Michael Collins show there as well on February 28th. Then I move into Kansas March 4th. And then I'm going to be in Portland, Maine, Boston, and New York City as well, and out in Port Jefferson as well. So go to paddycullivan.com for tickets to this. It's a show I want everyone to come to. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of laughs with some really serious research, deep historical insight. And, you know, the one thing is, my other shows, let's be honest, guys, The Murder of Wolfe Tone and The Murder of Michael Collins are a little bit depressing. This one, you walk out of the room and people have walked out of it where they've seen it in Belfast Rebels and say, I feel a lot of optimism. And in the kind of world the way it is today, I want people to walk out of here, you know, to quote Noam Chomsky, with a bit of optimism over despair. And so when they walk out, and what I really want to get across to is, guys, we can talk about the past all we want. We can talk about what the terrible injustices done to us. We can be victims forever, or we can come together and say, what is the new opportunity we have? You know, as the great Roy Walker, you know, talking about mixed marriages again, Dave. The great Roy Walker, who was the presenter of Catchphrase, and East Belfast prod, who married a Catholic woman and was burnt out of Belfast, you know, he went back to Belfast and he went back to his hometown and he said, look, it's great coming from Belfast and it's great. I love where I come from, you know, but it's not where you come from. It's where you're going. And in this country, in Ireland, we really need to start thinking about where we're going, not where we are and not what happened to us in the past. And that's what I Can't Believe It's Not Ireland is all about.
Wonderful
Brilliant.
stuff, Paddy. Wonderful
Brilliant.
stuff. And we will talk to you again. Listen, best of luck with the gigs and we'll talk to you soon.
Alone again, naturally.
I'm still laughing at that. Athlone.
Again, naturally.
It's fantastic. That's genius. That is
Yeah,
genius.
it is. And, you know, why not move the capital to Athlone? Why not do
Yeah.
it? Why not do it and have it as a radial point, like a hub and spokes, and have a whole transport system, all that carry on? I mean, it's very true. I mean,
The schnock the piercer.
you cannot create a new society without new cities.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you say we've got to build a town the size of Waterford every year into perpetuity, well, then you've got to build a new city. And you know, the interesting thing is somebody built a new city. Like Dublin was nothing, and then it was rebuilt. And it was rebuilt by the Georgians.
Yeah, but not only the new cities and stuff. I mean, it's what you were talking about earlier. You can't just change a whole country without changing the system fundamentally. You know, it's like
Exactly.
sticking a square into a round hole. It won't
Yeah,
work until you
exactly.
actually change it fundamentally.
And so this is the Second Republic. In fairness to the French, they've had 5 republics. We've only had 1. So we have
Yeah.
2 republics, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the Second
We're
Republic.
due a new one.
Yeah, we're due a new one. Yeah. Second Republic should be dictated to by the Swiss model of cantons, of counties serving as cantons, of provinces serving as the quarterly basis of power, and stripping the power from the very top and inverting the pyramid so that the power goes to the base and away from the top. And then you've much less shenanigans, John. You've much less corruption. You've much less dominance by the mental agility of the very few over the very many, because you move from a vertical power structure to a horizontal power structure. You move towards a network power structure away from a top-down power structure. I think that's the only way forward. And if a united Ireland, John, and we're going to leave it here, is going to work, we need to get in tune with our Swiss inner soul, Toblerones, glockenspiels, trains that run on time,
Lederhosen.
and lovely people who don't rob your bags when you leave them in a cafe.
Yeah. Athlone again, naturally.
Naturally.